What you doing, Mav?
This is out. We do watch poop. What do you want?
So before we can set up today, we actually have to replace our water filters. I'm sure you have seen these at any RV store, even though Walmart sells them. They're just your basic exterior water filters to get rid of a lot of the grossness that comes from some of these taps here. And actually, we just came from a Yakima visiting my sister for Halloween, and the temperature may have gotten down to like, what, 15? Do I have some dirt on my face? Just a little. Anyways, it got a little bit cold, and I was somewhat proactive, and I disconnected the hose so we didn't have any hose freezing problems. I did, however, leave the filter outside, and
with water in it,
and so it expanded, cracked, and broke. But that's okay.
When it gets to 16 and 12, it'll probably break.
It was time to replace it anyway, so this is a good time. I've had these for probably a month, and I've just never got around to switching it out. So now we're kind of being forced to.
Tasted so terrible.
So anyways, first project before we can set up is I gotta replace this. Hey guys, my name's James.
And I'm Ashley.
Last year we sold our house and we're traveling across the country with our kids.
Hi, my name's Goose, and this is Maverick. Come join us.
So actually a plus is our hose has been leaking lately, and we didn't really know why, but I finally figured it out because I actually tried to pay attention, and we were missing a gasket. So since our previous filter broke, I stole the gaskets off that.
You stole.
And
you
put
didn't
it.
Stole them.
No, I stole.
Okay.
And put it on that, so hopefully our hose won't leak anymore, and we should be good to go, because at the last park we were at, it was pretty bad. It was like a constant trickle of water.
I looked for gaskets and I could not find any.
So anyways, this is, for those who don't know, this is a PSI regulator, and because you never really know what the pressure is going to be at the parks that you're at, it's always good to have one of these. I don't remember exactly what PSI this regulates it to, but it helps keep it at a level that won't destroy the pipes in your RV, because your pipes in your RV are not the strongest of pipes. So it's always good to have this in here. And then from there is where I'll attach the water filter, and it's also good to have your water filter attached to the faucet. We actually didn't do this for a long time because it just always went to our RV. It made most sense, but to keep your hose from getting all of that buildup and nastiness from the dirty water, just having that filter here as the first line of defense helps the longevity of your hose. And what this really helps do is reduce the pressure on your attachment to your rig. So that way when it's hooked up, it's not bending the hose, but this kind of puts that pressure in the right spot and just kind of relieves it from your plastic plumbing, because the fixture where this is attached is just a piece of plastic. So after months and months, if not years of abuse, it's prone to break. So this really helps save that. So this is what goes right onto the RV. This is the spot that was leaking. Hopefully we don't have that problem anymore. So far so good. So I want to apologize to our long-term viewers. This month has been crazy. If you didn't see our explanation apology video, I will link it up right there and you guys can check that out. But it feels so good to be back out here into nature. I was a little worried about this campground because it's fairly close to a highway here going up to Mount Hood, but I mean, as you can tell, it is beautiful. The highway noise isn't too bad in the distance. Can barely hear that. It's pretty darn good, and it's only about 15 minutes from multiple hikes that I've wanted to do for years. Granted, it is November, so it'll be a little bit chilly while we're up there, but the good news is, just like the campground, it should be very, very empty, which when you're trying to go into these remote, beautiful places like national parks or state parks and whatnot, nothing ruins it more than feeling like you're at Disneyland on the weekend in the middle of the summer. So this is perfect.
Red light.
Where's the squirrel?
Yellow light.
Mav, can you find the squirrel? Where is it? Where'd it go? Up there? The squirrel went up the tree? Can you find it? No, you can't find it. It left. It went bye-bye.
Play with that.
All right, go get your sissy.
Play with that.
You're it. You're it. You're it. Oh, missed me. Oh! Hey, it's okay. It's okay. You're okay. Dust yourself off. Where does it hurt?
You okay?
Let me see. You okay? So since today started off with us doing kind of like a basic upgrade to the trailer or basic maintenance, I thought it would be a great idea to kind of tackle my to-do list that has been adding up, because when you're living in an RV or even if you travel often, things break, things wear down. These things weren't made to live in. So today I got like 3 or 4 projects that have just been adding up, and these are some simple solutions to your basic everyday RV issues. So one of the issues that we've had with living in an RV full time is, if you guys remember, about a year ago, we built this really cool pallet board table, which I still love, but it's probably twice the weight of the original table. And I have heard even from people that didn't or haven't changed their thing, that sometimes they have some wobble issues. And ours is a little extreme. Like, I'm a little nervous my laptop's on here, but if you notice, this has like probably 6 inches of play, and that's because if you look down in here on the floor, these are just screwed into plywood right here at the base of the slide. So they're just these little screws, and then I'm hoping that it's as simple as tightening some of these. Now granted, I bet you there is quite a bit of strippage, I guess you could call it, but actually this one right here I'm pulling out by hand. I haven't even tried that yet. But look at how small these screws are. They're the size of my thumb or smaller. So they're not exactly heavy duty screws. Now granted, there are, I think, 6 to 8 of them in each pull, but as you could see, I was able to take it out by my finger and they've just gotten loose over time. So what I'm gonna do to try and combat both them from getting loose, as well as to help with any of that strippage, is I'm gonna get some wood glue or some Gorilla Glue that expands, and then put that in there before I tighten them, so that way it'll fill in all those gaps and keep the screws locked into place so they won't back out over time. And I'm hoping that will fix our wobbly table problem, because when I have my laptop up here and Goose or the kids are climbing up on the table, things get a little sketchy. So unfortunately, you can see just from pulling out that pole that this actually completely came out. So this one is completely 100% stripped. Thankfully this one is a little more intact. So I'm not sure if even adding the Gorilla Glue into this one will fix that problem. I'm hoping it will, but I also just don't know. We can't really use any bigger screws or any longer screws, because if we do, we'll penetrate the floor and go through the slide. So we're kind of stuck with this length. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rotate this about 20 degrees. That way all of the holes will be going into brand new parts of the plywood, but I will also be adding the Gorilla Glue to each screw to try and keep them from backing out over time like they have. So hopefully this will work, and I'm going to do this not only on the front one, but on the rear one as well. So in addition to rotating them about 40 degrees, what we decided to do actually is we shifted the foot over about 1 inch. and then a 1/2 inch on the rear there. And the reason we did that is because it actually was ever so crooked before. So this way, not only are we straightening the table out, but we're also scooting it over to this side by about a 1/2 inch or so, because the girls sit on this side and they don't need as much room to get to the table. In fact, they need less room. And I am constantly getting in and out of this side because this is my desk where I do all my work. So by having just a little bit more room there and a little bit less room here, I think that this will function way better for us. Plus, it's also more perpendicular to the wall than it was before. So I think overall, this should work well. So we're just using the Gorilla Glue. It's the white Gorilla Glue because it has much quicker drying time. I think it dries in half the time. I think it sets in a half an hour and then gets cured in 24 hours. So because we have kids, this is what I'm gonna use. So things I should mention that I'm doing here is I am pre-drilling all of the screws in so that way when I add the glue in, it easily has a place to go, as well as I know for a fact that the pads are locked down where they should be and they're not going to move around on me. So I'm putting every single screw in and then one at a time backing them out and adding a drop of Gorilla Glue onto it and putting the screw back in. So that way I know it's exactly where it needs to be and every hole is glued in place. So hopefully it'll stay there. All right, the easy part's done. All the screws are in and it is set back into place. The tough part now begins, keeping the children off of it for the next 24 hours. While that's drying, let's head outside because we have another project we need to tackle out there. So one of the things that happened when we were traveling is when we came out of a steep driveway where the wheels dropped down a foot or two, the rear end here scraped. Well, the lowest part of the rear end, which is our black and gray tank for the back bathroom, scraped. And as you can see up close here, it's got a nice smooth flat part to the bottom where it kind of got sanded away. And then it also ripped off and removed the cover for this. So this is like a somewhat semi-cosmetic as well as a hygienic repair. Super simple. Because the nubs on the left, right, and top are still there, all we needed to do was go to the nearest RV parts store and we purchased this, which is just a replacement cover. And actually the cool thing about this is it comes with this little hose attachment. So if you want to, you could use this hose to fill up a Blue Boy or something like that with the gray tank, or run it out to a septic tank. If you know you're too far from your septic tank, you can empty your gray tank that way. Multiple uses for this little screw cap on here. Really, I just got it because it was the same price as the ones without it, and it gave me that option if I wanted to do that in the future. Because these caps only have 2 clips, as long as the inner circumference of the circle is complete and you have at least 2 opposing nubs to attach this to, you are good to go. So thankfully we have just enough that the bottom hasn't been scraped away, so the total inner circumference of the circle is still intact, and we have the left and right nubs we can attach the hooks to from the new cap. So this is a very simple fix. All we got to do here is remove the old rubber gasket that is pinched on here. Ta-da! Pulled that off. We then get the new gasket. Should be able to pop it right back on. Whew. All right, that was definitely more of a pain to get on there than I thought. But then we just screw it on, and there we go. Good to go. If you guys remember, a few months ago I installed a internal air compressor into the RV here so we can inflate the dirt bike tires, the truck tires, the trailer tires, etc. The bummer is when I installed that, there was no on-off switch, so the compressor is always trying to sense whether or not it's at that 110 PSI level, which is where it tries to keep it at. So it will randomly in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, at 3 in the morning, go off, and it is not a quiet compressor. It is a very loud electric compressor that vibrates the trailer. So nothing is worse than being woken up at 3 in the morning because of that. And for the past few months, 6 months or so that we've had it in there, we've just dealt with it, but it is time that we fix the problem. So I stopped at the hardware and picked this up, which is just a little 12-volt toggle switch, so I can flip it on and off, so that way when we need it, I turn it on. But when we don't want the compressor running, we can simply just flip a switch and be done with it. Oh, a lot of you have been asking what we do for a tripod now that we've switched to the Anderson hitch, and the short answer is we don't use it anymore. So I really need to get rid of this. They probably make adapters where you can go from a puck to a ball, but I just don't know if it's worth it because a lot of times we are using our Anderson blocks right here, our leveler blocks, which help take away that sway. That is why we needed the tripod. So because we have those raising up the front legs, it eliminates a lot of that sway that this fixed. So really, we just been carrying this around in case we want to switch back, but we probably won't. So there is the compressor right there, and that is the tank back there. To be honest, I'm not sure how many gallons that tank is. It is not massive, but it works great for toys like dirt bikes and bicycles and things. For filling up trailer tires, it does take a lot more time. So that is our pressure switch right there. So this is running from our 12-volt line. So I need to run this one to the 12-volt on-off switch, and then a new line from the on-off switch to the pressure switch. And then from there, we just need to mount it right next to the valve stem here, so it's all in one convenient place. So the install process is pretty simple. You drill a hole just the right diameter for this, slide this through the hole, and then you put on this little panel for the on-off switch, and then a bolt on the other side, and that keeps it attached to the wall. So pretend my fingers were the wall. So this is the back, and this is the front, and this is all you see. There we go, all hooked up. We got the line coming from the battery right here. This one running to the pressure switch. And we can just go on, off, on, off. I love it. I am very excited about not having 3 a.m. wake up calls anymore. Hi, bud. Are you excited too? Yeah, because once you get up, you have to go potty. All right, now that Mav is up from her nap, it is a few hours later, but I can officially test out if this is working. I let some air out of the tank, so we should be low on pressure. So if I flip the switch, oh, it's working. Now, as long as it shuts off here in the next minute or so, we'll be good. How was your nap, Mav?
Good.
Good nap?
I have my bike.
You do have your bike, you're right.
But I want horses.
We are gonna go ride horses, you're right.
What is it?
That's right. We are headed to go pick up Goose from Auntie, but we're going to a horse show where Mav gets to ride around on a Harley as well. So we've got a horse-filled night tonight, but oh no, I guess you can't quite see my breath, but it is cold. Oh, it shut off. We are good to go. So now that we're full pressure, I'm just gonna flip that off so it doesn't turn on in the middle of the night, and I think we're good.
So we've made it to the horse show, which is crazy to think that this is Maverick's first horse show and that Goose started doing this type of stuff when she was 18 months old. It just boggles the mind.
You can run faster, Stacy.
And while it's cute and sweet, it's also a little scary because you've got your little baby on a big horse, but we trust Harley. It's just also hard to watch as Goose decides to, you know, go faster and take more risks. Oh, my mommy heart can't handle it.
As always, guys, until next time, stay positive, get out there. Life is an adventure, so make some memories.